All right, we are live. Before starting this stream to talk about my opinions on everything here, again, this is all my opinions. Just putting that out there. But before I start, I want to say my heart goes out to everybody out there in the Ukraine. I'm more of a finance channel, a financial education channel, so I'm going to be talking a lot about the market, but I don't want to be insensitive or come across as insensitive to what's going on. So it's kind of hard to talk about, gold, silver, dollar index, all these different things when there's obviously a very serious situation over there. So I just wanted to first say my heart goes out to you all before I talk about financial type stuff, because obviously there are much more important things when it comes to what's going on out there than just finance. But that's just what my specialty is. So just wanted to put that out there in the beginning. So Russia has invaded Ukraine. I'm sure all of you already know that, but I wanted to give my take on this matter. Something that off the top of my head that I'm worried about is not being talked about enough is what happens if China at the same time invades Taiwan. I think that that's something that's in the possibilities of what could happen. Oil jumped over 100 a barrel briefly. We're seeing precious metals jump quite a bit. One of the big things that I want to talk about in this video, and I have my charts over here on the left I'm going to show you, is the dollar index is skyrocketing, which falls under my dollar hot potatoes theory that I've been talking about for a long time on the channel, that as we go through more instability, more people are jumping into the dollar, not because they trust the dollar, but because they want it as a hot potato to throw it at something once the opportunity arises. So to me, we're seeing a jump in gold and actually a jump and then a bit of a pullback as I'm making this video on gold. Still up about 14 bucks gold right now. Silver's up 18 cents right now. It was up quite a bit more this morning, but as the markets opened, the Dow Jones is down 600 right now. The S&P is down almost 50 right now. Nasdaq's down 17. So I think that there's just kind of the market is trying to feel out what's happening. And I think what we're seeing in the short term is that people want to be stacking into dollars right now, even on more so than just gold or a safe haven asset, because there's just that much uncertainty that people might even be selling gold on the jump to be going into the dollar to wait for an opportunity to buy other things. I think that money is eventually going to flood back into gold and silver, so temporarily pulls back a little bit more into the dollar index and then floods right back in. That's what I think is happening here. But what scares me again is the possibility of China invading Taiwan. What happened with Russia, in my personal opinion, I don't want to come across as a know-it-all. I'm just my personal opinion, not to be taken as advice or anything like that. Anything that I say, disclaimer, just completely my opinion. But Russia, Putin had come out there on the world stage a few times to talk about how he wasn't okay with NATO kind of forming along the border right there. Because Ukraine borders Russia, so he had said, "Hey, I'm not okay with this. You guys are getting too close to Russia, and we're going to do something about it. We're going to do something about it." And turns out he's doing something about it. So that's happening, and now NATO's talking about a possible retaliation, all these different things, and so it's to look at what's going on. I think that this is just one aspect of what could be happening here. And what worries me is when I'm seeing oil skyrocketing right now and the fact that we're not producing as much oil as we used to be in the U.S., a lot of people tend to forget that our dollar isn't back to, ever since we left the Bretton Woods Agreement, our dollar is back to oil. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what's the chess game here? What is it just about Ukraine? What else are you trying to do here? What is the overall thing? Because everybody can say whatever they want about the leader of Russia, Putin, but at the end of the day, the guy is scary intelligent from what I've seen. So I don't want to discount his intelligence level just because he's a very scary individual doing crazy things. The guy is obviously on some sort of chess move of what he's doing. And what I think is the ultimate goal, and what he said in the past, and I've talked about this in prior videos, is that I don't think he's comfortable with the dollar being the reserve currency of the world. And I think that that's the ultimate target of Russia and China. I think that they want to figure out a way to take the dollar out of being the reserve currency. That's just what I think is the more important thing to them than China taking over Taiwan or Russia taking over Ukraine. Part of me thinks there's something to do with the aspect of being sick of the dollar having the reserve currency status. So that worries me. But in the near term, to what we're seeing in the overall market, let me shift over to this screen here. So let me pull up what I'm looking at on this end. So something interesting is look at the DXY right now. The DXY, we'll pull up this is just the 5-day chart on the DXY. The dollar index has absolutely skyrocketed. We haven't seen a day like this, and I can't remember the last time I've seen the dollar index jump up over $1.18 on the daily. So that tells me that money is flooding into the dollar, seeing the dollar as a safe haven to park money right now. So what's interesting is people are flooding into the dollar, but we have inflation at ridiculous levels right now, and at the same time, all this uncertainty. So I think that it really is the hot potato theory in full play here, where people are getting out of equities, getting even out of gold and silver in a certain way, because we did see a sell-off from the top here. So look at the sell-off in gold. This morning, gold had tapped nearly 1975, was looking like it was going to break 2000 again, and then pulled all the way down, nearly over 50 points down, and now it's down at 1920. So part of me thinks that there's just, even at these highs here with gold, there was uncertainty there where people are selling off of everything. They're selling out of Bitcoin, they're selling out of gold, they're selling out of silver, they're selling out of this equities, and they're going into the dollar waiting for whatever happens. People are just worried about what happens next, is what it looks like to me, and they're sitting on the sidelines with dollars. But how long do you want to sit on those dollars? Because here's the different part today that we didn't experience before, and I've talked about this again in prior videos, is this time around inflation is a lot different than it was back in 2008. In 2008, inflation was very low. Now we have a situation where inflation is rampant and continuing to prove that it's not transitory. So though we might see a temporary spike in the dollar index, it might even go a lot higher than this. But inevitably, that money has to go somewhere, or it's losing more than, right now it's at 7.5% according to their numbers. To my numbers, I think they're well over 15%. Or if they, not just my numbers, but if we went by the numbers of, the late 70s, early 80s, it would show that we're over 15% on the CPI, because they changed what they look at for the CPI data to make it look and appear like it's lower, even though it's still pretty high at 7.5% according to their standards that they're saying right now. But inevitably, that inflation is going to hurt people that are sitting in dollars. So is cash king? Yeah, temporarily. But for how long can you be in that position? How long can that money sit on the sidelines until it starts to feel the pain of inflation chipping away at it, losing 7.5% of its buying power year over year? And the thing is, I think that that's going to continue to go up. I don't think inflation is going to stop anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I think that the Fed will use this as an opportunity. They always tend to do that. Like, oh, wow, what a great opportunity for us to shift the blame. It wasn't our printing of $14 trillion over the last 2 years. That couldn't have caused the inflation. No, what caused the inflation is Russia invading Ukraine. That's what caused the inflation problem. It wasn't us here at the Fed. No, it wasn't. This wasn't our problem. That's the reason it's not transitory anymore, right? That's what they're going to say. Even though CPI changed from 1.4% of January 2021 to 7.5% now, a year later, even though they said it's transitory, it went from 7.4% to 7.5%, from 1.4% rather to 7.5% in a year. Yeah, that sounds really transitory. Now at 7.5%, if the next one comes out at 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, they're going to say, oh, this is due to the instability going on in the marketplace. Don't you see, oil's over $100 a barrel? All these things are happening now. This isn't our fault. This is clearly, the fault of what's happening over there in the Ukraine. It's Russia's fault. But part of me thinks that the Fed will use this as an opportunity to not raise rates. Because at the end of the day, I've talked about on the channel that to stop inflation, they would have to at least make the rates, the federal funds rate, higher than the inflation rate to stop it. So if they're saying it's 7.5%, which I think it's a lot higher than that, a lot of us think it's a lot higher than that, they would have to raise it like Paul Volcker did up to 20% just to stop inflation, because I think inflation's around 15 to 20% right now. But, they can't do that because then we'd go pretty much bankrupt. They can't raise it that much. Literally, the Fed is unable to do that because they already have too much debt. So that's the difference between back when Paul Volcker did it and now. They literally can't do that, or else we go bankrupt and we lose reserve currency status due to literally default on the loans that we have. So I think that there's a situation where the Fed might use this opportunity to say, hey, actually, we can't raise rates because inflation's out of control due to Russia. It's their fault, and that's why we can't raise rates now. And that scares me because the next thing the Fed could do is start up the printing press again. And if the Fed starts the printing press up again, we could temporarily see the stock market be saved for a little while, and then it kicks the can down the road another, however long, like we've seen it in the past. I really think that that's like a 35% probability. If I was going to throw a probable number out there, I think it's 35 to 40% that they're going to say we're not raising rates, and as a matter of fact, we're going to keep running QE and maybe even do negative rates. Because the thing is, what the Fed will do is if they see chaos happening, and right now we're seeing the market pull down pretty serious, and keep in mind their QE hasn't stopped yet. They're still doing QE. They've said they're going to do a lot of stuff later on, but they're still running their printing press. They haven't raised rates. Rates are still at 0%. And everything they said they're going to do is what they're saying they're going to do, and they haven't done yet. And they've said every single time that the Fed goes out there and speaks, they say, well, if some sort of unforeseen event happens, obviously we'll use the tools at our disposal and we could change our mind at any given moment. So nothing is set in stone. They're saying they're going to do that, but they could turn around and say, hey, we're doing negative rates, or we're keeping it at 0% for another long period of time. And also we're going to start printing more money again. We're going to print another 10 trillion out of thin air, which would further make inflation run rampant. So I think that in my personal opinion, I think we're just getting started with inflation. I think we're already in stagflation. I've talked about this in the past in prior videos about stagflation. And I think that there is really no option for the Fed other than to create a more inflationary environment, because the thing is, if they do raise rates, they can't raise it enough to stop inflation. So no matter what, inflation is already running its course. So say they raise rates and they jump at 50 basis points. They like to say basis points. They won't just say 0.5% because 0.5% is pretty meaningless. They like to say 50 basis points to make it sound like it's meaningful, but it's not. Say even they did that. They're talking about raising it, 25 basis points, which is 0.25%, 0.25%. But that 0.25 or the 0.5 is really not going to be able to stop an inflation rate of over 7.5%, obviously. But that alone would cause the market to be unstable on top of the already instability going on. So if the Dow Jones right now is down 650 points, this S&P is down 50 points, the Nasdaq's down 40 points today, and you have all this instability going on, what would happen if the Fed just adds to that fire and says, hey, we're going to raise rates and we're stopping QE, and also we're going to unload the assets that we already purchased back into the market? Well, okay, so that's not good news. And if that happens, the stock market could crash and pull down. And when that happens, then they go, okay, well, now we have chaos, so we can't do that anymore. We're going to start the printing press back up again. That gets me worried. Those are the scenarios that I see happening here. And also, I think the eyeballs really should be on China right now, because I think that China and Russia are a little too close for comfort. And if I was running something right now, or if I was looking like at what's going on the diabolical chessboard, so to speak, again, just my personal opinion, I would be watching China invading Taiwan and taking opportunity of this moment to kind of, NATO's getting together to go up against Russia. But what happens if all of a sudden China invades Taiwan? Then that's a total wild card scenario that nobody's prepared for. So that's something I think about is very scary to me. So obviously the thing is, like, Putin must have seen what was going to happen, when it comes to sanctions and what comes to what NATO's trying to do now. He must have known that this is going to happen, obviously. So why did he make the move? Why did he go from, hey, we're just, doing some testing going on, we're doing some exercises, to actually doing what he just did? Which is devastating, by the way. I've been seeing these videos surfacing on Twitter, which are it's very sad. It's total chaos over there. So my heart goes out to everybody over there in the Ukraine, because there's some crazy stuff going on. From what I'm seeing on the news and stuff, it seems that it's more so like a targeted thing, but obviously you can't be perfect with this. So he's probably going in there trying to destroy, airstrips, trying to destroy certain military areas of the Ukraine. But at the same time, obviously, there's going to be casualties with civilians. You can't be perfect with bombs and stuff. So it's a scary scenario. But I'm just wondering what the playbook is. Like, what is on Putin's mind right now? What is he trying to do? And who is his strategic alliance with? because if he's just standing alone, that seems that doesn't seem like a smart move. But part of me thinks it's Russia and China together. That's just my personal opinion, not to throw some crazy ideas out there, not to put words in anybody else's mouth or anything. Part of me gets very worried on what's going on. They seem to be awfully friendly with one another, and they have a same goal, I think, that they want to see the dollar not be the reserve currency anymore. Russia has de-dollarized its economy and has basically made it so that, actually, he's gone out on the record and called the dollar, like it said, we're getting off of the dirty dollar on the record. And this was a while ago. I think this was like over a year ago. He talked about getting off of the dirty dollar, and then at the same time, took some time after saying that, got his ducks in a row or whatever he did, and then now he decided, well, I'm comfortable to make this drastic of a move. Like, you got to be in a place of, to me, it scares me because you have to be in some sort of feeling that you have comfort in making that decision. As uncomfortable of a decision as that is to make, there has to be some sort of idea in the back of his mind going, I'm comfortable doing this because if they respond in this way, I will respond in this way, and I have these sort of strategic alliances backing me to do this kind of crazy decision. There has to be something there, and I'm curious what that really is. And I don't think it's just I think it's just skin deep or on the surface that he just wants to take over the Ukraine. I think that's just the surface thing. I think that there's something much, much bigger behind the scenes here, and it's provoking. By going and doing that, it's the first provoking, and then you have an action from NATO to respond, and then what's the action behind that from Russia? So it's like the first thing you provoke, you get a response, and then the retaliation to that response is what I'm curious of what happens there. So far, it seems Germany stopped the pipeline that they were doing with Russia. There's obviously a ton of sanctions getting dropped on Russia right now. Now you have a bunch of NATO forces going in there and backing Russia. But I'm just curious, and I want to open the comment section up here after I'm done ranting a little bit to what you guys think on what happens here. The comment sections are always really great in these live streams because I learn a lot from you all as well. But on the first thing on my mind is superpowers being against the dollar but having the reserve currency status. And what happens if one of these countries decides to, what would happen if Russia decided, hey, we want to be paid only in gold for our oil, and we only want to be paid for our stuff in gold? That would be a very interesting scenario there. Or if they wanted to go to some sort of Bitcoin standard or something along those lines, and they just didn't want to go by the standard that everything is in dollars when it comes to oil. There's a lot of things on my mind when it comes to that. And if that happens, then the whole basket of fiat currencies is at risk. The whole world would be flipped upside down if they didn't accept dollars anymore, which they already said they're de-dollarizing their economy much prior to what happened recently in the Ukraine. So let's go back to the market over here really quick. So gold is actually, if you can see, this is the daily on gold. Was again peaking at almost 1875, was looking really good this morning. And the crazy part is, the crazy part here is that, there's nothing changed in the sentiment that this is a crazy, chaotic environment where gold would thrive in a crazy, chaotic environment, except gold pulled back down. To go from 75, from 1975 down to 1923 right now, 1923, I have a feeling that this is going to rebound and start jumping up to 2000 and break all-time highs. That's my gut feel on it. I think it's just a near-term, people sold out here and went into dollars to sit on the sidelines to see what happens next. But I think that it's a matter of time before gold and silver, platinum. The one metal that's been absolutely on a tear is palladium. And this is actually something I want to talk about briefly. I put it on my desk here. So this is a palladium bar. Palladium is it's a lot less dense rather than platinum. This is a platinum bar here, and this is a palladium bar. Now, why has palladium skyrocketed? This is palladium's chart right here that I have pulled up. Palladium's chart, let's show you the monthly on palladium. Literally in the last 2 months, palladium's jumped around 60-70% in the last 2 months. It's been an absolute insane metal. It's almost going like rhodium crazy. So went from, the low I think was around the 1500s in the last few months here. Let's go on the 3 month. Yeah, the low was in the 1500s, 1530 something, 33. So 1,533 was a low, and like 2.5 months later, it's at 2,582 on Palladium. Crazy metal. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that roughly 50%, I think it's 40 to 50% of Palladium comes from Russia. So if Russia is doing what it's doing, and there's no imports or exports really going out of Russia, and they're the main, Palladium is a byproduct of nickel mining, and they mine a lot of nickel over there in Russia. 50% roughly of Palladium worldwide comes from Russia. So that is going to put a huge constraint on the Palladium market. And Palladium's already been in like a 5-6 year deficit. I've talked about this in the channel, on the channel in prior videos on comparing Palladium and Platinum and stuff. Excuse me. But something tells me that Palladium is due to skyrocket even further. I mean, 60% in a couple months is pretty insane for a metal. But I have a feeling that Palladium could easily break 3K and start running based on this. And that would also, as Palladium continues to run, Platinum would run right behind it. So I think that Platinum is a really hot buy right now. I think Palladium is a really hot buy personally, not financial advice. But I think that Platinum, Palladium, silver are going to have a bigger return on investment than gold, just based to the industrial aspect of those metals. Gold is going to go up as well, but I think that those, obviously we're seeing in industrial precious metals are jumping a lot faster than gold is. Platinum is up like to almost, I think it's around 20-30% in the past 2 months, around 20% range on platinum. So jumped higher than gold did in the last 2 months, and silver is starting to tear upward as well. So something's telling me that the Palladium market is going to be a very interesting market to watch because, again, roughly 50% of the world's Palladium comes from Russia. Something to think about. Now, that would cause like the auto industries and industries that are using Palladium might shift back to Platinum right now, because Platinum, you can find it in South Africa and other places as well. I mean, you find Palladium in other places, but they don't have the market cornered as much so on Platinum as they do on Palladium in Russia. So there's something to be said about that. And again, yeah, someone in the comments just said Russia is the second biggest producer of Platinum. That is correct. I believe the first producer of Platinum is South Africa and just Africa in general. But Russia is definitely a big producer of platinum and palladium. Those two things, specifically palladium, but platinum as well. So they're a very mineral rich country. They're rich in oil. They're rich in metals. They have a lot of gemstones in Russia as well. I mean, so Russia is very wealthy when it comes to its resources of the country. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with the metals market and what they're doing. Part of me thinks, again, that money is, like when we're seeing palladium selling off here, we're seeing gold selling off as well from the highs. I mean, it's obviously up when we pull the chart back a bit on gold. It's obviously up well. So if we go for let's do a 3-month chart on gold. So 3 months ago, gold was around just under 1,800, and now we got gold up at 1,922. So obviously there's a jump of gold, still 120 in the last month or so, couple months. So definitely a big jump in gold. But at the same time, when we zoom it in, that's a big sell-off for the daily sell-off. In the morning, jumps up to 1975, sells off. That tells me people are still worried about even being in gold, being in anything. So they don't want to be in the stocks. They don't want to be in gold. They don't want to be in silver. Even though they're still up, they're selling off, and they're going into the dollar because we're seeing the dollar index absolutely spiking. That tells me that there's just people sitting with money on the sidelines waiting for something to throw it at. And I think what they're going to start throwing it at is safe haven assets. So we might see it pulling down a little bit in the near term, but I think gold is down in the near term and then skyrockets back up as this money sitting on the sidelines realizes, oh, wait, there's still inflation problems. That's what I think happens next. I think that there's going to be inflation that continues to go up, and as the Fed goes and announces, hey, CPI is still out of control, it's at 8% now, it's 9% now, 10%, 11, 12, that money that's sitting on the sidelines is going to get more and more worried to be sitting on the sidelines. The cash is king for only a short term until you realize, wait, it's actually getting burned. And right now they're saying it's 7.5%. So imagine you have $100,000 in cash on the sidelines. You're going to lose, $7,500 of buying power year over year right now. And who knows how much that's going to compound? Who knows how much it's going to go up every single other month? For all we know, the CPI could be jumping, another percent every time they talk. maybe even more than that. So if you're sitting on the sideline in cash, it's a good thing. I believe in having a big cash position myself. I'm trying to get myself around, 20, 30% cash. I keep getting all these opportunities and losing my cash because I keep buying stuff. But my goal is to get some cash together right now because it makes sense to have powder dry. But at the same time, you can't be sitting on it for too long until that powder rots, so to speak. So it's like, how long can you have that hot potato until it burns you? That's why I named it the hot potato theory. It's like, the dollar index is going up, 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 up. And it's actually, it's textbook about what we've been talking about on the channel under the hot potato theory, because going into the dollars, it's not hot enough yet to burn you, but it's hot. And it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter as inflation continues to run rampant. Then it's going to eventually burn. And so where does that hot potato go before it burns people? What happens with it? I think that it's just a matter of time before they throw it into safe haven assets like gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and we're going to see those skyrocket. Gold and silver is so cheap right now. Platinum is so cheap right now altogether already, without any uncertainties, without inflation, without all of this going on. It's already ridiculously cheap. So with all of this added on top of that, it's just a matter of time. Also, the other thing I want to talk about is Bitcoin. Hang on. Bitcoin has been pulling down quite a bit. So it's if there's any proof of a correlation between Bitcoin and the overall market, now is the time to prove that. Let's look at the 1 month on Bitcoin. Zoom it out. So as the market was selling off here, Bitcoin sold off with the overall market, literally like running parallel with the Nasdaq. Like those charts. Look at the Nasdaq's chart, and then look at Bitcoin. That's crazy. It's like literally the same chart. It's pretty wild. Start of 2022, and then let's go start of 2022. On here. Why is it? Pull up. Yeah, it's definitely, the thing is, like, I'm surprised because you would think that Bitcoin would be similar to gold, and you'd see it detach in the way that gold did, but we're seeing Bitcoin continue to pull down pretty heavy. Just a little while ago, it was over 40,000, lost 40,000, and now it's starting to rebound a little bit. Its low was around 34,000. Right now it's up to 36. So a bit of a rebound off the bottom. It seems that 35, 34K is the bottom range for Bitcoin right now. But the truth is, look at the way Bitcoin's performing and look at the way that gold's performing. Clearly gold is not performing in the same way Bitcoin is. Gold has been going up quite a bit. So what that's telling me, I don't know why my charts got a little bit messed up here. I gotta get better about using this trading view. Let me go back to here. What I think is happening with the difference between gold and Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is not nearly as established as gold, and Bitcoin is proving to be trading similar to a tech stock right now. So it's a very new technology, very new asset, and so we're seeing it's falling with the overall market, which is proving what all along. It's so funny. I have precious metals individuals that make fun of me for being in Bitcoin, and then I have people that are in Bitcoin that make fun of me of being in precious metals. And this whole time I've been saying, like, I like both. I like to have both. My Bitcoin position started out as like a 5% insurance play, because it makes sense to have money in the digital realm and have it outside of the system. See, the goal for me, and this is something I want to talk about in this video as well, what scares me in the Ukraine is you're starting to see lines showing up at these ATM machines. And not only that, but the banks themselves are actually limiting the amount of money that people can withdraw from the bank in Ukraine. So there's lines to get money out, and then they're limiting the amount of money they can get out once they wait in this long line to get their money. It's like an amusement park to get your money. You get your money after waiting in line this whole time, and they actually limited the amount of money that you can get out of the ATM. And meanwhile, this money's back to nothing. So what that tells me is it's not about whether palladium's the best buy or whether platinum's the best buy or gold is the best buy. It's a matter of, or if Bitcoin's the best buy, it's a matter of, do I have custody of my assets? Do I own them? Do I have custody? Right now, obviously, this 10-ounce gold bar, I have custody of it. It's sitting on my desk. Obviously, this 10-ounce platinum bar, I have custody of it. Sitting right here on the desk. Palladium bar, same thing. My Bitcoin in cold storage. I have custody of these assets. So it's not about which one's the best for me. It's about, do I have purchasing power outside of the banking system? Outside of traditional banks? Do I have purchasing power? Do I have to, if I have to ask for permission to get my money or to get my assets, that proves I don't have custody of it. Somebody else does. And I have to beg to get my money, right? So I have to go to, if I'm in the Ukraine and I want to get my money, I am standing in line outside of an ATM machine. I can't even get all of my money. And it's proving to me how insolvent these banks are. Like, look at what happened in Canada, right? So even, the funny thing is, even though Trudeau, and this is what really happened here, in my personal opinion with Trudeau, he did the Emergencies Act and said that we can freeze people's bank accounts. People went, what in the world? You can freeze our bank accounts? Even if I didn't donate to the trucker thing, I'm still taking my money out of your banks. That's what I think a lot of Canadians did. I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, what would you do watching this video? They said, hey, if we don't agree with the things that you've donated to, we're going to freeze your account, right? Even if you don't freeze my account and you freeze somebody else's account, I'm still taking my money out of your bank and putting it elsewhere, period. And I think that's what happened. I think what happened is the banks went to Trudeau and went, hey, man, we're losing a ton of money, and it's going to prove how insolvent we really are. It's going to prove that we don't have the money to give to the Canadian citizens because so many of them are taking their money out of our banks based on them not trusting you anymore. You got to do something about this. And you know what they did? They revoked that whole Emergency Act situation. They said, okay, we're not going to need this anymore. We're nice now. Everything's fine now. It's like, no, what happened? I think money was leaving your banks. You got very worried about it and you had to backpedal, buddy. That's what I think happened. And because of that, even though they did backpedal, even though they went back, I think people still realize, hey, I don't want to have my money in your bank regardless, because now that you've shown that you're capable of doing that, I'm going to take preventative measures because I don't trust you anymore. You see, trust is like, I say this in business, trust is like an egg. The second you crack that egg, it's never the same. You can't repair a cracked egg. It's a cracked egg and you don't trust anymore. So what Trudeau proved is, hey, we now can't trust any banks that are connected with the government. We cannot trust that anymore. We need to take that money out and put it elsewhere. And we want custody of our own money now because we're sick of trusting you. Obviously, we can't trust you if you can just freeze our accounts. And I think the reason I bring this up is because in the Ukraine, we're seeing lines of people lining up outside of banks to try to get their money out. And not only that, now they're limiting the amount of money that they can get out of the bank when they do get to the front of the line. So that is insane to me. And that proves the narrative of why I want money in the digital realm outside of the banks, which is Bitcoin to me, and why I want physical, tangible money outside of the banks, which is precious metals. That's what I want. That's my portfolio, because I don't want to be have any possible way of someone freezing my capital. I don't believe in that. It's just it's so wrong that that's happening right now, and it's something to prepare yourself for. So even though that, you know, I'm in the U.S., I'm not in the Ukraine, and my heart goes out to everybody out there, I think that it could be a matter of time before people are lining up outside of the banks over here. Because if everybody went to the bank right now and asked for their money out at the same time, went to Bank of America, went to Chase Bank, went to Wells Fargo, everybody went to that bank and said, hey, I want all of my money out, or I want you to wire transfer it to Coinbase or whatever to buy Bitcoin and then take it out of Coinbase into my own cold storage or whatever you're doing with your money, or I want to go and wire money into a precious metals account or something like that. If you do that, it would prove literally overnight that these banks are insolvent. They don't have the money. They're Ponzi schemes in plain sight. That's the truth. So it's a very, if anything, it's what happened in Canada, what's happening in the banks in Ukraine. I think it's opening people's eyeballs to going, look, we can't trust the fiat system anymore. We have to get our money out of this. And I think that that's going to continue to be widespread, especially as we see inflation growing out of control. So in the short term, we're going to see the dollar index spiking. We're going to see, that kind of people selling off everything, literally everything, and then going into the dollar, holding it on the sidelines. Then they're going to realize, oh, wait, inflation's out of control. Oh, wait, these dollars really aren't that valuable after all. And I'm going to go buy stuff with those dollars. So short term, dollar index jumps up. Long term, those dollars have to go somewhere before they lose their purchasing power. And I think that it's going to flood into safe haven assets. That's where I think it's going to go. I think that even like right now, not just the stock market is going to crash, but I think everything pulls back. It's very interesting to see gold detach from the overall market. That's something I'm watching very close. Same thing with silver and all other precious metals to detach from the overall market. But something tells me short term everything sells off. Precious metals not as much as everything else, and then sits in dollars, and then dollars get thrown at that. But my play on it is I would have, trying to time it all out, I would have anxiety. So if it's like, if I wanted to sit on the sidelines, do I think Bitcoin could pull back to 30K? Possibly. Very possibly, especially if it's trailing the NASDAQ and the NASDAQ starts crumbling, could very possibly fall to 30K. Am I going to try to time that out? Am I going to sell my Bitcoin position right now and try to buy it lower, and save that $6,000? No, because I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing if I sold my precious metals, I sold my Bitcoin, I try to time it all out, the perfect timing, I would have anxiety knowing that I didn't have purchasing power outside of the banking system. Again, for me, it's not about timing it out. I'm just sitting for the long term. It's about having purchasing power outside of the banking systems and not trusting the fiat system that's currently there. That's what it's about for me. And obviously, I believe that they're going to skyrocket in value over the long term. But again, so many people ask me, is it the right time? Did I miss Palladium's jump? Did I miss gold's jump? Did I miss silver's? Should I have bought it here or should I wait until it pulls back further? For me personally, I think it makes a ton of sense to have a cash position, like a 20-30% cash position, just in case. But I would have anxiety trying to time it out because I think overnight gold could skyrocket. I think overnight Bitcoin could skyrocket, as we just saw with gold nearly tapping 1975 this morning, and now it's down at 1917. I haven't seen gold this volatile. I don't even know when the last time I saw gold this volatile, jumping up $50 up and down. That's wild. So the dollar index extremely volatile. I mean, I haven't seen the dollar index jump over $1 in a long time. It's up $1.20 as I'm speaking right now. It's at 97.40 on the dollar index, which is insane. It's a lot of money flooding into the dollar right now. So that's kind of my overall sentiment on what I think is happening here. If you agree with me, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. It gets these videos out there to more people. Hopefully this information helps some people. I want to just go live and give my take on what's going on right now and what I think about it. But overall, I feel that there's more going on than just the invasion of Ukraine, and that's what gets me worried, because Russia had to feel very comfortable to make that decision. Now, why did you feel so comfortable is the question I ask. If you know that there's going to be a sharp retaliation, why did you feel so comfortable making that decision? People can say whatever they want, but they're not foolish. They're not stupid. So why did you think that you could get away with that? That's what scares me. You had to have your ducks in a row, so to speak, to make that kind of a drastic decision. And I'm just curious what that is. Is it China backing you and all of a sudden they're going to invade Taiwan tomorrow? Is that possible? I don't know. Maybe if I'm talking about this there, hopefully more people like my video so I can get it in the YouTube algorithm. Maybe the types of things I'm saying, somebody doesn't want it to be talked about because it's crazy ideas, but that's what's on my mind. I'm not a news channel. I'm not a guru. I could be completely wrong about what I'm saying here. Everything I'm saying here is completely my opinion, not financial advice, not advice at all. Could be completely wrong about everything that I'm saying here. So disclaimer, we're just going to say that again. But something tells me that there's more than what meets the eye here. Let's get into some comments. I like to just kind of rant in the beginning of these live streams for a little bit, but I wanted to make this live stream maybe about, 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to try to not overdo these live streams. But what do you guys think? Am I crazy? Do I make some sense? I mean, what do you think? Did I miss any of these? Let me scroll up a little bit here. Yeah, Matthew, I tend to agree with you. Matthew just said basically that they're pumping a lot of oil in Russia, and ironically, we were getting a lot of our oil from Russia. So that might have been part of what the whole confidence thing is. I mean, what blows my mind is a friend of mine on Twitter actually was just writing about this. Excuse me. He's like, you want to know how you can make oil prices go down is just stop taxing oil. It's like, that makes a lot of sense. You know, we're in a situation in the U.S. where we are literally turning off our pipelines, and at the same time, instead of running our own pipelines, we're going to OPEC and begging OPEC to lower their prices for us or to pump more oil. Like that's literally the situation that we're in. Meanwhile, our dollar is supposedly back to oil. So we're turning off our pipelines and then begging OPEC to pump more oil so we get a lower price on our oil getting shipped over to the States when we could have just pumped it in the States. It's like, what? Like, how does that make any sense? How does any leadership actually think that's a good idea? It makes no sense to me at all. Like, do I believe in renewable energy? Yeah, it's great to have renewable energy, but it's going to take a long time. So why not just make money off of our own oil and be energy independent and continue to be energy independent and then slowly, gradually shift to solar panels? Like, it's going to take a lot of time to do that. It's not something you can just snap your fingers overnight and then all of a sudden your whole country is energy independent when more than 90% of it is off oil already and off coal. It's like, it just blows my mind, the lack of logic. But it's crazy to me that we're begging OPEC to give us a lower price or to pump more oil. That's how we're going to be able to be getting our prices down on oil. It's like, no, that's not the way it works. When you give up your power of pumping your own, then you're going to go and be in the bad position in that negotiation table. Just doesn't make any sense. Let oil price rise to 200. This will push people to renewable energy. I mean, that's one way to look at it. Brandon, I've recently lost most of my cash savings. I do have $25K in gold and silver. Should I sell it all or should I sell enough to pay the bills as they come in hopes my metals may go up in value? I wouldn't want to put myself in that position, Brandon, in the first place. I mean, luckily, not everybody is in a position where they have 25 grand in precious metals on the sideline, but hypothetically, if I was in this position, because I can't give advice on this channel, I have to put myself in this position. So if I had 25 grand in precious metals and I had no money elsewhere, and I had bills to pay, yeah, I think that me personally, like this is going to be a crazy take on it because this is just what I would do personally. Again, I'm not giving financial advice. This is what I would do in that position personally. And a lot of people might be in this position. And it's probably why we saw gold sell off from 1975 down to where it is. You probably went to a guy like me and sold your gold. And you know, I do that all the time where people need to get cash and I cash them out on their precious metals. But the thing is, if I was in the position where it was only 25,000, I would probably sell 15,000 of it myself, have enough money to pay my bills, and then figure out a way to get cash flow off of that remaining, say, 10,000 or something along those lines. So I'd be thinking of something in my mind of getting cash flow off of that, and not, because the thing is, if you're at 25,000, and that's a lot of money to a lot of people. It's a lot of money to me as well. But if I was just at only 25,000, I'd be thinking about creating a business, getting some sort of cash flow together with that capital, more so than gambling with it. I don't think precious metals is a gamble, but at the same time, it isn't something that you're able to be building a business with or something along those lines. You're holding that as your protection, your safe haven, your savings. But at the same time, if you don't have a way to get cash flow in, I would sell, say, 10,000 of it or something like that if it was me in that position, and then figure out whether it was build my own business or work for somebody else. I would take that money and try to find a job as soon as possible, make sure my bills were paid, and then get cash flow coming in, because you can make 25 grand pretty fast, with a good job. So it's like, I'd be out there, trying to find a good job, get cash flow in, or building my own thing with that capital, if that makes sense. But cash flow is king, and cash flow doesn't have to just come from your own passive income or your own, entrepreneurial idea. It could be a good job. I mean, I was a waiter. As a waiter, I mean, I knew bartenders that were making 10 grand a month. Waiters are making 9,000 a month. Bartenders making 10,000 a month. If you're at a fancy restaurant, you'd be surprised how much they make. I mean, say you were around 4,000 or 5,000 a month as a waiter or a bartender. I mean, that's money coming in. So whatever it is, you got to figure out some way to get cash flow. And for me, in the very beginning, was being a waiter. So whatever that is, hopefully that helps in some way. But that's how I would look at it. $5 a gallon in California. California should never be more expensive than Hawaii for gas. Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild. Servers are making, yeah. See, Jay says he owns a brewery. We got a lot of entrepreneurs in our community, which is it's rad to see in the comment sections in here. Jay's just said he has a brewery, and he says his servers are making around $50 an hour after tips. It's true. And that's good for everybody. It's good for the business owner too, because the business owner can keep, the servers at minimum wage, and they're happy to be there at minimum wage, because at the end of the day, that money just goes to pay taxes on the tips. Because I'm sure that's how I'm from the industry, Jay. I remember getting my $0 paychecks. I'd be like, why did my paycheck come in at $0? Why is that? It's like, well, you made a lot of money in tips. You got to claim those tips, man. I'm be like, man, this is some BS, man. I was supposed to be a $2,000 check. It came in at $0. I remember the good days. It's like 5 years ago. Wasn't that long ago that I was a waiter. That's how you know we're early with Bitcoin. Cobro just said, does somebody know the owner or founder of Bitcoin? I'm sorry to laugh. There's a good thing called Google. You could Google it. But no, that's the thing about Bitcoin that's so interesting, is when nobody knows who the founder is. His founder goes by Satoshi Nakamoto. It could have been I would guess that it was a team of people, like 4 or 5 people, and they called themselves Satoshi Nakamoto, but nobody knows who it is. And that's the beautiful thing about it, because there's no attack vector, there is no founder. One of my biggest arguments against like Ethereum is that who Vitalik is, and Vitalik can mess up the entire system. So it's like you have a founder there, and that's a bad attack vector. That's a place of uncertainty. So it adds actually a much more, it's better. There's a much better security with Bitcoin just because there's no founder there to go after. Something to be said about that. But that just goes to show you how early we are in Bitcoin. A lot of Bitcoiners follow me in addition to precious metals individuals. And it's funny, the Bitcoiners used to be so mean to the precious metals guys, guys and girls out there. But now all of a sudden the people in Bitcoin are starting to understand precious metals and going, wait, well, it made sense to have both, because to me, it's the best place to have money in tangibles is precious metals, and the best money to have in digital is Bitcoin. So I like to be in both. I've never been against both. I think that it's the best place to be personally, but it cracks me up that there's still like we're still very early with Bitcoin. That's for sure. Diesel powered. I appreciate the super chat, man. I never miss those super chats. They add up. I appreciate it. Would you do a how-to video on safely moving Bitcoin out of Coinbase, please? Thanks for all that you do. I love your videos. Diesel, I will do that in the near future. I haven't been making too much videos when it comes to like cold storage and stuff, and I need to be on that using a hardware wallet and putting it into cold storage. Just briefly, the best piece of, I guess I keep getting worried about saying financial advice, but the best thing that I could tell you to do in regards to, or if I was doing it, is hypothetically, say you have 10 grand in Coinbase. Could be a lot more, could be a lot less, whatever. Let's just say you have 10 grand in Coinbase and Bitcoin. What I would do personally is I would take $100 worth of Bitcoin of that 10,000. And this is really, really good info. So if you're watching, if you want to learn about taking Bitcoin into cold storage, like if you want to really learn how to do it, this is the best way, because I have to learn by doing it myself, making mistakes or not making mistakes, but just going out there and doing it myself. That's how I learn. I would get a cold storage device, whether it's a Trezor or cold card or whatever that device is, and then I would play with a small amount of money. So leave 9,900 in Coinbase and play with that $100 worth of Bitcoin. Send that from just the small amount. You don't have to send all of it at once. Remember that. So if you want to learn how to use cold storage, send the $100 into a cold storage device and then send it from the cold storage device back into your Coinbase. And then do that a few times. You might lose $5 or whatever by sending it back and forth, but this is knowledge that you need to learn. So it'll be really helpful for you to do this. Start very, very small. So, because if you lose that $100, you'll live. You lose the entire 10,000, it's going to be very annoying. So play with $20, $50, $100, whatever that is, and send it back and forth and play with it. Put it in the cold storage, send it from cold storage wallet to another cold storage wallet, back and forth, and then realize the utility of it. I didn't understand Bitcoin until I put it into cold storage, and I went, wow, that was interesting. And then I get a soft confirmation immediately. So like when I do a wire transfer, for example, there's so much that goes into a wire transfer. You have to go down to the bank. You have to sign all these documents, routing number, account number, bank information, the bank's address, the business's address, all this stuff for a wire transfer. With Bitcoin, it struck me as a better wire transfer system. That's what it struck me as. It wasn't about like, it was like, what's the utility of this? And to me, it was a way, way better wire transfer system, because you just copy and paste the one script, boom, boom, copy, paste one line, and you send it. And when you send it, people say it takes a long time. It really doesn't take that long of a time. And it's actually really cheap to send Bitcoin. I've sent the full coin for like pennies. I remember it was like 88 cents or something like that to send a full coin one time. So people say it takes too long or it's expensive to move. It's actually not very expensive to move, and it actually doesn't take a very long time when you consider it like a wire transfer. And on top of that, you get an immediate confirmation. So if I send, say I hypothetically have a Bitcoin and it's like right now it's a $36,000 Bitcoin, right? And I send that to a different wallet address, and it's in a hard wallet to hard wallet. You get an immediate confirmation saying this amount of Bitcoin is pending. The second you send it, you get a confirmation on the person that's getting it, or if you're receiving it from yourself, you get a confirmation right away saying, hey, this is pending and it's on the way. So you get it's called a soft confirmation. And that's something I wish I got with a wire transfer, because I'm usually running around pulling my hair out like, oh, is the wire going to land? Is it going to land? Oh, is it going to land today, or is it going to land tomorrow? Is it going to be in the afternoon? When is this wire going to land? But with a Bitcoin, I get an immediate, I know it's on the way, and there's no going back. It's just slowly, it's getting confirmed, and it's in the process of it. So there's something to be said about that. It's just a better wire transfer mechanism. So when I think about money in the digital realm, having Bitcoin in a cold storage, having it in a hard wallet that's in cold storage, is the best way, because you have the passwords. Nobody else has the passwords. You have full access to a digital asset that is the same worldwide, and it's hard capped worldwide. So those are the things that I think is good about it. So to me, I don't believe in like crypto. So a lot of people think just because I think Bitcoin is a good concept and I'm in Bitcoin that I'm into crypto. I'm not. I just think Bitcoin's a good idea. I'm not into anything. I just think there's only Bitcoin. Everything else is just a wannabe altcoin. I have no love for any other coin than Bitcoin. Precious metals and Bitcoin are my two places. But that's a little bit of a rant on Bitcoin there. I think Doge is a total waste of money to put anything into Doge. Just my personal opinion. I think my personal opinion is I think it's an outright lie to call it the people's money, because it's an insecure network that isn't anywhere near as secure as Bitcoin. Bitcoin is divisible by Satoshi. So when they say it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. That was a distraction. And a lot of people, here's the problem I have with like Doge and other altcoins. A lot of people own them on like Robinhood. And they think that they own them because they're in Robinhood. Like, I have the people's money in Robinhood. Well, guess what? You can't withdraw that money. You can't take the crypto from Robinhood and take it into your own cold storage or hard wallet device. They don't even allow it right now. So a lot of people think they have custody of these things, and they're going to realize, sooner than later that they don't have any custody of it, and Robinhood does. But anyway, I could go on a total long rant about that. And this video was meant to be my take on what's happening over there in the Ukraine, and so I don't want to get too into different altcoins and stuff like that. But we'll go through a few more comments here, and then we'll call it a video. I want to stop the live stream in about an hour, and I think about an hour is the good point there, because then people can watch the videos later on, and it doesn't get too crazy on the timing. But expect a lot more videos on the channel as well. Appreciate everybody for liking the video and getting this out to more people. If you're not subscribed to the channel, would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Trying to grow the channel a bit. My goal is to hit 100K by this year. So a lot of people think I'm crazy saying that, but I'm going to get there one step at a time. I'm working my way up to get into that level of 100K on here on YouTube on the subscribers. So if you could subscribe, really, really appreciate it. If you hit the like, really appreciate it. It helps get my videos out there. And actually, it really does help. It really, whenever we do these live streams and everybody is so kind to hit that like, it does end up pushing these videos out, despite the algorithm not liking me because I talk about some controversial stuff up on here. I'm also, I also fall into the category that randomly my subscribers will like drop like 10 when I haven't even made a video, like out of nowhere. It's like, are you getting rid of spammers, or what are you exactly, how does this working here? I do not understand. But if you hit my like button, it kind of gets it out there regardless. So I appreciate people doing that. But just a quick update on where precious metals are and everything. Let's go back to the chart over here before I end the stream. Let's go back. All right. So gold is starting to recover a little bit. It's up. I mean, the thing is, gold is still up on the day. I know I said it pulled down, and it did. It pulled down from 1975 down to the 19s, but to be at 1925 is still up quite a bit. So I pulled up. Let me pull this is the 5-day chart on gold. Still up quite a bit. It was. I mean, when was this? On February 16th, gold was at 1850, and right now it's at 1925, and that's just from the 16th. Till now, which is the 24th. So that's a pretty solid jump for gold, and it's recovering a bit on the day, up 17 on the day now at 1925. And then silver is just shy of 25 on silver. Platinum at 23. Sharp sell-off in platinum, which is interesting to see. Platinum at its peak this morning was actually at 1126. Now, down to 1066. What's going on, man? What are you doing, Platinum? What are you doing? This guy you were on a tear this morning. This bar is it's a volatile little bar. I swear, these bars right here, they're volatile little workers. They go up, down, all over the place. But definitely a big sell-off. Started at the top, going down to platinum. Part of me thinks that because it's an industrial metal, it's a bit more of a volatile metal. Same thing with palladium. Palladium still holding its gain really strong, but still it had a sharp sell-off at its peak this morning. This is crazy to say that this is this morning. This morning, palladium was at 2,700 an ounce, down to 2,557 now. So it's like $150 fluctuations in palladium on the daily. That's crazy for a metal. Gold, again, $50 fluctuations on the daily. Silver was at its peak, was at 25.6. Now down to 24.70. I might back up the truck on some silver, to be honest with you. I still think silver is ridiculously cheap for where it is right now. I mean, you pull up the 1-year chart on silver. Why did it get zoomed in? I wonder, did I have to reset the chart? There we go. I will get better at this trading view thing eventually. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, silver this year, it's already broken over 30. This is like peak silver squeeze, but I just think silver is just so cheap. Just to go back to the point that I brought up in a prior video. Actually, hang on real quick. I see there was a super chat. I'd never miss those super chats. I appreciate that, Joe. Joe Schmo said, keep up the good work, Rob. You'll get to that 100K. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. It always means a lot to me when it's a compliment like that. You didn't even have a question or something. So thank you, man. It means a lot. That's the goal. I just put it out there in the universe that I will hit 100K subscribers this year in 2022. I keep putting it out there and I keep putting in the work. Eventually it'll happen. I believe in that type of thing, but I appreciate the support, man. Thank you. But one thing I want to talk about with silver, let me show you I want to pull up the all-time chart. On the all-time chart, when we look at the last high in silver, the last all-time high was in 2011. So all of this money in the dollar index got put into the dollar index after the recession. 2008 recession hit right here. Money goes into dollars, and then once the dollars got too hot, it flooded into safe haven asset of silver. Silver jumps up to nearly 50 an ounce. So today it would be, I mean, this is the cross chart here from 2011 till today on silver. I talked about this in the last video I just did. But what's crazy is when we look at this exact same chart with gold, gold is above that high now, or right at or above the high. So in 2011, gold hit that high of 1,900 and change, and now it's at that same high. It's crazy. This chart doesn't look like it. It looks like it's like a chart from a year or two ago, but the thing is, it was from a while ago. So you look at 2011, the high of gold in 2011. This is the recession's here in 2008. Money floods into gold after the recession, and then it goes up to here. What's crazy is gold is at that all-time high and breaking higher than that it was in 2011, but silver is not even close to where it was in 2011. So gold and silver have completely detached from one another, because you would see if they were still attached to each other, silver would be at the same all-time high that it was in 2011, like gold is right now. That's why I think silver is a much hotter buy than gold. I think gold is gold, and it will always go. I think it's always going to go up, and I think it's a great buy right now still. But I think silver is just so undervalued. If the market was priced right, silver right now would be at that same high that it was in 2011, just like gold is. But it's not. It's just crazy to see that. And to me, that is the telltale sign that silver is ridiculously undervalued. So to me, I think silver is still king when it comes to precious metals. That's the metal that I believe in the most. Platinum and palladium are next up, and then gold after that. That's my positions in precious metals in that order. But silver is just remarkably undervalued. That's just my personal take on it. But I think that they're all due to continue to go up. I don't think gold's going to go down anytime soon. I just think that silver the silver to gold ratio is way too far off. And just to show, I think I actually have the silver to gold ratio here from the prior video. I still have it pulled up. But in 2011, we pull up 2011. This is the silver to gold ratio in 2011 was just over 30. And right now the silver to gold ratio is over 80. So it just goes to show you how out of whack the silver to gold ratio is. I think we're going to get back to that 30-to-1 figure pretty soon. So that would make, if we got to the 30-to-1 figure that it was in 2011, silver right now would show $60 an ounce, $60 plus an ounce, somewhere 60 and change per ounce on silver, which is where it should be right now, in my personal opinion. It should be up here, just like gold is up there. So we see this exact chart, this cup right here. I think we should be seeing, look, that's a serious cup and handle there. I think that was, I agree, it does look like a cup and handle. I think, what was it? Who said that just a second ago? I'm trying to find you. I can't find your comment, but someone said a cup and handle. But the gold does look like a cup and handle right there. It looks like it's about to form that. But I would like to see this same cup right here should be what we see in silver, but we don't see it. We just see this. We see it down, and it's not pulling back up. The cup should be up here. So to me, silver is extremely undervalued. Same thing with platinum. Similar chart with platinum, not getting the same highs that we saw back in 2011. 2011 platinum nearly 2,000 an ounce. So platinum, I think it should be right there, just like gold is with platinum. Palladium is a wild card. Palladium is just through the roof. So palladium doesn't care about anyone's theories or topics or anything. Palladium just goes through the roof. Palladium is the Bitcoin of metals lately. It's like right there with rhodium. So palladium doesn't care about what happened in 2011 or anything like that. Palladium just keeps skyrocketing, which is why I have a big palladium position. But it's a very volatile metal, as you can see from this chart, extremely volatile. So that one's not to be played with the faint of heart, as you would say, or something along those lines. Definitely a volatile metal. But of all the metals, of all the precious metals I could be in, I think silver is the most undervalued. So silver to me, up there, I think silver is the most undervalued of precious metals. Just my personal opinion, not financial advice. That's what I'm looking at. Back over here. I'm going to go through a few more comments. I didn't miss any of the super chats. I think Joe Schmo was the last one. And then diesel powered was one after that. So I think that was it. I don't like to miss any of those. I'm about to end the live stream, so appreciate those, everybody. Let me see here. Tim. I tend to agree with you, Tim. I tend to agree with you. I think that it's like it's a stepping stone process with renewable energy. You know, it's like people think that we can just snap our fingers and boom, all of a sudden we have renewable energy overnight. It's like, no, it's going to take a lot of money and it's going to take a lot of time to get there. And so it's not something, I mean, even Elon Musk, who's like your ultimate renewable energy guy, who's solar panels and all of that, I think he'd say the same thing. It's like you need oil to get there. You can't just turn off your oil and then think you can just snap your fingers and be all renewable overnight. It just doesn't happen that way. The countries that benefit from us turning off our pipelines are Russia, and all the countries out there that are pumping oil benefit tremendously from us not running our own pipelines, because then they can control the price of oil. And we have to go and beg them for their oil. We have to go to OPEC and go, hey, please, will you pump more oil and will you give us a lower price, please? Pretty please. And it's like, that's not the position you want to be in. You want to be in the position where you go to OPEC and go, hey, look, if you don't give us a cheaper price on our oil, we're just going to make it ourselves. And you can kick rocks. Like, that's the position that you want to be in a negotiation. I don't know why we gave up that power, but I agree with you. I think that it's a great idea to be pumping oil in our country. And I'm sure there will be some individuals watching my channel like, how dare you say that? How dare you say to pump oil? That's a bad thing. It's like, no, we need it. It cracks me up. A lot of people that are so opposed to oil usually drive an oil car, drive and don't realize that even the electric cars right now, like 90% plus of them are getting their energy from coal, and nobody can deny that. So it's like, it blows my mind. How many people have a Tesla and then run their Tesla off their own solar panels and never use any energy from the grid? Very, very few. Very, very few. So as much as people think that their Tesla is running on renewable energy, they're not. It's running on coal for the most part. So it's not something I want to get to all renewable energy, but it's going to take 20, 30, 40 years to do that. And in the near term, we should be getting our own oil from our own country and not having to beg people. Makes no sense to me that we do that. I see a couple super chats. Matthew Foster says, love your videos, Rob. Take care, buddy. I appreciate that, Matthew. Thank you, man. Vacation Time. What's up, Vacation? Vacation Time has been with me from day one. I appreciate you, man. It says, where's the golden toad? We need to hear from the boss. The golden toad is actually in the other room. He's in the other room right now, and I'm sure that he really appreciates you bringing him up. If you haven't seen the golden toad, go to my Instagram at Rob Soltan on Instagram if you want to follow me there. Forgot to say that in the video. If you want to see like close-up pictures of all these bars on my counter, all those bars up there, my golden toad, all that stuff. If people in here are like, golden toad, what are you talking about? You will see on my Instagram. You will see the boss of Mineral Exchange, who runs the entire show, is the golden toad. And he's all over my Instagram. He runs the Instagram as well. So he runs Mineral Exchange and he runs the Instagram. And also, there's going to be some announcements coming out on the website, on my company's website, mineralexchange.com. Be prepared for something to be dropping there soon. I've been working on some stuff with that. So I'm not ready to launch it just yet, but in the near term, there's going to be some announcements there. To get the kind of the first of what's going on with what I'm doing with metals, with the things I'm buying, with the things I'm selling, just follow me on Instagram at Rob Soltan on Instagram, and you'll be updated there. Also, whenever I do these live streams, I put a link in my Instagram story. So this one today, I've shown this in the past in prior videos, but if you haven't watched my videos in the past, so this is my Instagram, right? If you go to my Instagram and you click on the story right there, I usually will give like a market update on the Instagram story, and then I'll put a link like, so this is the link to this video in my Instagram story. So often YouTube doesn't give us the notification. I don't know why that happens. Sometimes people, even if you click subscribe and click the bell afterwards, sometimes it doesn't notify you. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll get a notification because I post it in my story every time I go live on the Instagram, and then you get a link to the actual live feed. So, it's a good idea to follow me there if you want to be updated on the things that I'm doing. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully that we got some interesting information out there. Again, I could be completely wrong about the things that I'm saying, but I want to spark this conversation and get people thinking about what are the true motives behind Russia? What is really going on here behind the scenes? Something tells me it's more than just trying to increase your territory. Something tells me it's more than just trying to fight back against NATO, having more resources in Ukraine than you're comfortable with. That's part of it, but what's the whole story? I'm curious. Maybe post in a comment down below what you think is going on here. Just totally an open conversation to hear what everybody thinks on this situation. I always go back in my videos and go through the comment sections. I post the live feed. So there's the comment section and then there's the live feed comment section. You have to usually click like live comments or something on the video after I post it. And I go back and watch and like scroll through the live comments because there's a ton of good information in the comment sections in my video. So I appreciate everybody being here. Again, I don't monitor or have like some sort of moderator for the comment section. So I just kind of let it roll and see what gets there. But there is no moderation at all. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, the comments fly. So I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you, everybody, for your support. And hopefully there was some good information in this video. Have a great rest of your day and stay prepared. Stay prepared. Get yourself, what are you doing to prepare? Throw it in a comment. Let me know what you're doing. I'm personally still sticking with precious metals. I'm actually, to summarize real quick at the end of the video here, I'm going into dollars as well. So why is the dollar index going up? Even people like me, I believe it's a good idea to have a lot of powder dry right now because I'm uncertain about what happens next. I didn't think gold was going to pull back from 1975 down in 1925 in the same day. I thought it might pull back a little bit, but it jumped $50. That's pretty volatile. Precious metals are extremely volatile right now. I think the stock market hasn't felt the full pain of what's going on right now. It's just a matter of time before it realizes just how serious the situation is. I mean, Tesla recovered huge. Like look at Tesla's recovery today. There's some stuff I didn't go over in this video, but I'm looking at like Tesla right now, and it recovered really strong on the daily. At one point, it was down to under 700 and then rebounded up to 760. So that's pretty crazy rebound right there. To me, I think that the market hasn't really felt the pain yet. I think the overall market is going to be having a serious pullback. I mean, it's down a bit today, but I think it could be down a lot more. It's had a recovery from the bottoms, but the thing is, nothing's changed. So, yeah, I'll do another one of these videos maybe tomorrow. Maybe we'll go live a little bit later tomorrow or early in the morning tomorrow or something like that. But if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel, and then you'll be notified when I do the live streams. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm going to be spending the day kind of going through all of this and analyzing it, but this is just what I have for right now and what my overall thoughts on the whole situation is. Hopefully it helped. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Signing out.